Deborah Nelson. I currently reside in Toluca Lake, California. I'm a volunteer with Everytown Survivor Network and the community outreach lead in the Los Angeles area for Moms Demand Action. Thank you so much for this opportunity to share my story and my advocacy at my first script conference. At this time, I'd like to introduce to you one of the hardest working young mothers that I know. She is a transformational change agent for Moms Demand Action, our organizing manager for the state of California, Mrs. Laura Abbasi.
Thank you so much, Deborah. Deborah should introduce everyone always. She gives the best introductions. So like she said, I'm Laura Abbasi. I'm here like Deborah in Southern California. I'm the organizing manager for Moms Demand Action. And I joined the organization as a survivor of gun violence as well. Deborah will tell you about her story more later, but my brother died at age 21 from gun suicide. And, you know, the essence of the story is that due to access to a gun at a time of great emotional distress, that was pretty much the difference between, you know, temporary fleeting thoughts and an irreversible fatal mistake. And so, you know, I joined Moms Demand Action. I joined the Everytown Survivor Network 5 years ago as a way to turn my feeling of helplessness into action, and really grateful to be here with Deborah today.
Thank you, Laura. My youngest child, Monique Roxanna Nelson, I call her my ebony beauty with those large almond-shaped brown eyes and that smooth mahogany-colored skin and that bright, infectious smile. She was tall, humorous, beautiful, intelligent, tenacious, loquacious. She always operated outside of the box. When Monique made her mind up to do something, by golly, wow, she did it. Monique was everything that I ever hoped or desired to be. The institution of family was so important to Monique, and the center of her joy was her rambunctious 2-year-old son, Jaden Anthony Butler Nelson. She showered this child with unconditional love. She loved and adored him so much that she would literally do any and everything for her baby boy. On Tuesday, December 14th, 2010, at a Florin Road strip mall in Sacramento, California, a date, time, and place forever etched into my mind, my body, and my soul. Monique faced a mother's worst nightmare. She had just finished having her family's Christmas portrait taken and was strapping little Jaden into his car seat when the unthinkable happens. Over 30 bullets went flying overhead. Now, I don't know how many of you have ever been at the center of a hailstorm of bullets, but I can only imagine the sheer terror, the horror that my daughter experienced in that moment. To think that she could possibly lose her only child or even her own life in this barrage of bullets. So she quickly and very bravely covered her baby's body with her own, while gang members in broad daylight in a public parking lot with no respect or regard for human life were engaged in a violent gun battle. They had their AK-47s, their Tech-9s, and 38 caliber handguns blazing. When the smoke cleared, hallelujah, my grandson was safe. The police said if Monique had not used her body as a human shield, that he would have surely died. But my beloved, my baby girl, a stray bullet from a 38 caliber handgun crashed through her windshield, lodged into her heart, and she bled to death on top of her 2-year-old son. Monique loved Jaden so much that she literally gave him life twice, once at birth and once in that lonely parking lot. Needless to say, my family and I were devastated, destroyed, paralyzed with grief. When you lose someone that you love, there is no two ways around it, especially when it's your child. You have to go through the fire. My new normal became this abyss of darkness where hopelessness and helplessness abounded. You see, a mother's not supposed to bury their child. A child's supposed to bury their mother. In this tormenting place, I call it the black hole of grief. Now, as a Baptist preacher's daughter, it might sound a little strange, but in this black hole of grief, I lost my faith in God. How could he allow such a tragic end to happen to such a God-fearing, beautiful young mother like Monique? Just why? Monique loved the Lord. She served him faithfully. All she ever wanted out of this life was to be a mother to her son. Why? Monique had never even held a gun before. How could she die from a senseless act of gun violence? Where did all those gang members come from? Who gave them the right to destroy my family's legacy? Just why? I'm her mother. I have lived my life. Why not take me? I had served that community over 20 years, trying to inspire young people to make good decisions, go to college, say no to drugs, stay out of gangs. Just why? Even to this day, I have never received an answer to any of my questions of why. So therefore, I started to wallow. In this world of depression, grief, and self-destructive behaviors, I self-medicated each and every day trying to numb this pain. I had one unsuccessful suicide attempt. Then one evening in my bedroom when I was going through one of my many meltdowns, my precious daughter visited me. She had this page boy hairstyle and this copper-colored sweater on with all these bright, beautiful lights just radiating all around her. She seemed so tranquil, so at peace. Now her lips did not move, but I distinctly heard her say in this loud resounding voice, "Mama, stop all that damn crying." Yeah, I was speechless. I was in shock, but I'm also very obedient to the spirit. And ever since that day, I've been trying to reinvent myself. I've been trying to become stronger. I've been trying to become wiser. My greatest struggle is not to let this tragedy to define who and what I am, but to dedicate the rest of my life to keeping my daughter's memory alive so that she did not die in vain. Maybe by sharing my story, I could be a helpmate to someone else who has experienced a similar loss. So you see, even in the spiritual realm, Monique is still saving lives because she saved her mother's life during that messy meltdown in my bedroom. Now, the murder of my daughter and fighting for justice in her murder case was all consuming for the next 5 years. Even after 5 long years, I could not comfortably talk about her death. I was embroiled with rage, pure rage. Then one day, I came to this realization. I could let my grief destroy my family and me, or I could put my grief into action. I could let Monique just be another tragic statistic, or I could be her voice in the gun safety movement to ensure that no other family, no other motherless son has to endure the long suffering that we have experienced. So I started researching various organizations that had a track record for saving lives and reducing the rate of gun violence in this nation. And I found refuge and I found support in Everytown Survivor Network and Moms Demand Action. They are part of a coalition of the largest grassroots organization for gun violence in the United States of America. We have over 8 million supporters and a chapter in all 50 states, including Washington, D.C. Now, this coalition consists of Mayors Against Illegal Guns, Moms Demand Action, Everytown Survivor Network, and our babies, Students Demand Action. 100 people die each and every day from gun violence in this nation. The United States is a nation of survivors. Now, we define a survivor as anyone who has experienced gun violence. You could have been threatened, witnessed it, wounded, or you know someone who has been wounded or killed by gun violence. I'm going to jump down to the last point because it just breaks my heart. Gun violence is the leading cause of death for children and teens in the United States of America. Please shut your eyes at this time. I want you to visualize your child. They come into this world wide-eyed and innocent, counting on you to love them, to nurture them, to protect them. We can no longer function with our head in the sand about the rate of gun violence in this nation. Normalizing the rate of gun violence, especially when it comes to our children, is not an option. We have got to get involved. We have got to take action. Now, our organization, we address many issues that deal with public safety and public health issues, and we speak truth to power. For instance, We say that police violence is indeed gun violence, when African Americans are 3 times more likely to be shot and killed by the police, when our future, our young Black men, are 21 times more likely to be shot and killed by the police than their white counterparts. That's enough. We got to get involved. We've got to take action. Now, I want to make it perfectly clear. We are not about gun control. We are about common sense gun measures that have been proven to save most lives from gun violence. And here's a list of some of those measures, like keeping guns out of the hands of dangerous people. I want to extend upon that. We also want to keep guns out of the hands of people who are a danger to themselves, because out of the 100 people that die each and every day from gun violence, 63% of them are by suicide. I'm jumping down to the last point. Prohibiting assault weapons and dangerous hardware. Assault weapons, weapons of mass destruction, weapons of war. The only purpose for an assault weapon is to kill as many human beings as possible. Why would we want a weapon like that on the streets in this nation? Why would we want a weapon like that in our public schools? It's time to get involved. Let's take action. We've got 2 pandemics going on in this nation, gun violence and COVID-19. 2020 was the deadliest year for gun homicides in the United States of America. We lost 19,300 people and 23 million guns were purchased. Gun violence traumatizes entire communities, especially those also facing social and historical inequities. And that trauma can span for generations. But the story doesn't stop there. We're here today to encourage you. We know that our communities can be transformed. They can be healed. Yes, hurt people, but healed people can also heal others. But guess what? They got to get involved. They got to take action. One of the organizations that I volunteer with, Everytown Survivor Network, has a plethora of resources and support for survivors of gun violence. They teach us how to share our stories to move people into action. What I like most about them is, unless you have lost a loved one or a child to gun violence, you don't get me. You don't understand my walk. You don't understand this extra layer of grief that I bear. Because to lose a loved one or a child to gun violence is all a preventable death. Everytown Survivor is providing a program in the Los Angeles area this year. The next slide, please. It's called the National Memorial Survivor Project. It's going to take place on November 6th and 7th. And what we're going to do is we're going to collect displays from all survivors of gun violence in the Los Angeles area and have their displays housed in a museum in Washington, D.C. So if you yourself are a survivor or you know of any survivors in the Los Angeles area that might want to participate in this project, please contact me. My personal information will be provided at the end of the presentation. The next organization that I volunteer with, Moms Demand Action. When I attended my first Moms Demand Action meeting, it was in Los Angeles, and we went to this young lady's house, and I saw this mother sitting on the couch, and in her left hand, she was holding her 5-month-old child, and in her right hand, she had her cell phone texting her congressman. I said, what kind of people are these? These are people of action. These are people who are trying to strive to save lives in the United States of America. Moms Demand Action. We saw that federal change would take time, so we took our fight to states and cities, and we have been winning. I want to give a shout out to my governor, Governor Newsom. Moms Demand Action participated in a coalition to advocate for more funding for CalVIP programs this year. Governor Newsom graciously met with us, let us share our stories, and let us do the big ask. And the truth be told, we were advocating for a considerably less amount of money, but here comes Governor Newsom. He committed a $200 million to fund locally based violence intervention and prevention programs. When I see $200 million, I get all excited because to me, that's saving lives. So a big shout out to my governor. Governor Newsom for standing tall, doing the right thing, and taking big action. At this time, we are going to see our advocacy at work through pictures. Take it away, Laura.
Thanks, Deborah. And I know that we want to keep to our time, so I'm going to give a slightly abbreviated version of this. But, you know, I miss all of us meeting in person. But, you know, like Deborah said, every day 100 Americans die by gun violence and hundreds more are injured. And even in this, you know, some of these photos are obviously pre-pandemic, but even in the pandemic, folks all across the country, here in California and beyond, raised their hands and, you know, said like, I'm not gonna take that heartbreaking statistic anymore. And so with all the hardship from the gun violence we're seeing in this country, with the historic rates of gun violence we're seeing in this country, what fills me with hope is that every single day, moms, dads, grandparents, families, survivors, students, they raise their hands to volunteer and to help, to say, not one more. And, you know, we don't have to live and die this way. And so the actions that we take collectively and individually, they really can make a big difference, because this is a movement, not a moment. And it is a movement built on love. And so this is just a little snapshot of folks just here in California alone. This is to say nothing of the volunteers all across the country. Here's Deborah and I working every single day to help end gun violence. And so again, in the name of time, I'm going to cut it short, but we really do hope that folks realize that you don't have to sit on the sidelines. You can take action, and it's as easy as texting RAID to 64433 and joining us.
Okay, guys, that was beautiful. That was such an amazing talk. But if you want to have it go into the breakout room, I can put you in the room, or you can join room number 1. So if you have any questions, comments, you guys want to chat more, go ahead and head in that room, okay? Or like I said, I can move you in there.
Well, I'd like to just have one closing comment, if I may.
Of course.
Okay, could you go back to my daughter, please?
Absolutely.
Toni Morrison wrote this novel entitled Beloved. And in this novel, she states what a good mother is. She states that a good mother is one who offers love that is silent, endless, and understanding. A good mother is the channel through which others learn to speak. My precious daughter, Monique Roxanna Nelson, was a good mother. Due to her selfless act, she has inspired me to speak out against senseless acts of gun violence, to speak up for common sense gun laws and policies, and to speak with other survivors, to try to support those who have lost their loved ones due to a senseless act of gun violence through her ultimate sacrifice. Monique has taught me that our voice matters. And the next slide is my personal information for anyone who wants to contact me, especially if you want to get involved in the Memorial Survivor Project. And the